where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, guys? I'm Joshua Bardwell, and it's time. We're gonna do some streaming. That's right. We're gonna do some streaming. Hey, what's up? Nick Sebring wants to know if this is the EU live stream. Nick, this is not the... Nobody in the EU is watching right now. It's like 2 in the morning. Hello? That's not even possible. Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness. Look how messy my desk is. You guys are... Watch this. Watch this. Are you ready? You guys ready? Hang on. This is what you... Hang on. Watch. Clean desk. Ha! Oh, hello, Norway. Norway. Wow. Spain, it's 2 a.m. Hey, look, I'm not going to judge you for staying up late. Oh, Cause FPV ordered some yeast today to make my pizza. I don't know if anybody here watches the Rotor Riot channel, but yeah. They asked us to do some kind of a thing from our house. So I thought of all these things I could do for my segment of the Rotor Riot show. You know, like talking and thinking and deep philosophy. I don't know. And then I was like, oh, I know. I'm going to make a pizza. We've been making pizzas over at my place. I used to... In college, I worked at a Papa John's. Papa John's had just opened, and I worked there, and so I know how to make a pizza. There we go. So that was over on the Rotor Riot channel. Is a little they cut my like 25-minute pizza making tutorial down to like 3 minutes. I don't blame him. It was a great edit, but I put the whole. If you guys were wondering why did Bardwell post a pizza making tutorial to his channel today, that's why, because I was like, well, I know that some people want the full tutorial, so TAC is building desks. Yeah. Quarantine is nuts. You're right about that. Rhoda35 wants to know when the Radiomaster review is going to come. I got tracking information for my Radiomaster today. Hang on. When is my Radiomaster going to come? Because you know as soon as I get it, I'm going to want to make content immediately about it. Tracking. Hang on. Let's look up tracking. When's it going to come? No. DHL. Track via DHL. Hang on. Here we go. Shipment information received. Oh, well. It hasn't actually left Hong Kong. So there you go. It hasn't left Hong Kong yet. So and there's no expected delivery. But yeah. So, hello, what's up, everybody? We are here. You guys are going to ask some questions. I'm going to answer the questions. But before we do that, we're going to do news of the day. I need like a little bumper reel, for news of the day. You know what I mean? How do I get? You got to go on Fiverr and get that made, right? Blindsides wants to know if there's a significant difference between eco motors at $13 to $18 and $23 plus motors. That's a very good question, Blindsides. Let's get back to that question. I'm going to hold that question on screen until I finish the news of the day. And honestly, guys, the news of the day it's mostly just, I was like, some of you guys watched Sunday stream and now you're watching Monday stream, but a lot of people didn't. But the news nothing's really changed between yesterday and today. But I feel like some of yesterday's news was such a big freaking deal that I kind of want to at least mention it. There's one new piece of news about the Radiomaster. No, about the Jumper T18. Maybe we'll throw that in. But this is the new Shark Byte Frost, the new thing from Byte from Fat Shark, the digital module. Sticks onto the front of your goggles. Plugs in. No, that's not right. Plugs in with HDMI. Hangs off the front of the goggles. There you go. Okay. Fair enough. So that's coming. I got one of those coming in the mail. Race day quads. Some idiot has decided to sell race day quads insurance on products. In other words, when you buy a product, you can buy insurance on the product. Like a quadcopter. You can buy insurance on it. That company's going to go out of business. But in the meantime, you could get insurance. They're going to figure out so fast that this was a bad idea. But for now, you can actually, through this third-party company, Race Day Quads isn't dumb enough to do this. Through this third-party company, you can buy insurance on things that you buy from Race Day Quads. And then when you crash your quad and break it, they'll just give you your money back. Oh man. Oh, they're dumb. Anyway, so jump on that while it lasts. Last piece of news. Second to last piece. Third to last, whatever. Any piece of news. I got the Immersion RC Tramp Nano came out. It's coming soon. It's a pre-order. It's not quite I think Pyro has them in stock. Get a PV and Race Day Quads haven't got their order in yet. That's kind of cool. 500 milliwatts Immersion RC Tramp. Very, very tiny. Yeah, that's kind of cool. The Jumper T18 released an interesting piece of information. Okay, you guys can't hear the awesome music. The new piece of information that I think it just came out today about the Jumper T18 is that it has, there you go, built-in 900 megahertz module. Now that's very interesting, and it has led people to ask questions like, is it going to have Crossfire compatibility? No. I mean, I say that because Trappy hates Chinese cloners, but doesn't TBS sell the T16? I think they do. Because as much as Trappy hates Chinese cloners, he hates FreeSky even more, is my read on it. So I don't see a world in which he like sells Crossfire, licenses Crossfire to Jumper. I just don't see that. So this 950 megahertz, I have a theory about it. You want to hear it? Yeah, of course you do. That's why you're here. So there is an open source 900 megahertz project out there, and I don't remember what hardware they were running on, but they adapted to be able to run on FreeSky. I don't remember the name. Maybe somebody in the chat can give the name of the 900 megahertz project. But it's an open source 900 megahertz firmware that you can flash to FreeSky R9 hardware. Stu says the 3DR was 950 megahertz. I'm trying to look and see if anybody's saying. So my theory is that they're going to use that firmware, or maybe they reverse engineered R9 the same way they reverse engineered D16, which would be hilarious. Anyway, now I got to say though, when I heard about the T18, I was expecting to be a little more impressed. A lot of the things that they say about the T18, like when I heard some of the things that the Radiomaster was going to bring to the table, I was pretty impressed. Touchscreen, the Radiomaster TX16S, touchscreen. In yesterday's live stream, I said that the T16 didn't do balance charging. I was wrong about that. Both the T16 and the Radiomaster do balance charging. What else did it have? Touchscreen. What else was I so impressed about? No ribbon cables. The Radiomaster uses standard plugs, not ribbon cables. So I think we all can appreciate that. And the T18, like, I'm looking at it going, okay, Hall sensor gimbals. Well, it already had Hall sensor gimbals. Doghouse FPV wonders if it was open LRS. Maybe it was. Doghouse, was that 900 megahertz? Yeah, so Hall sensor gimbals, a new screen. Okay, I guess. Carbon fiber faceplate, nice. Cosmetic though. Wheel button, already had that. New speaker design, meh. See, none of this is really knocking my socks off. About the only thing here that really like interests me is the 900 megahertz module. That's clever. But other than that, it's really just a Jumper T16. Like, it doesn't really bring massive... I thought people were suggesting that the T18 was going to be like Jumper's answer to the Radiomaster. It doesn't feel like it is to me. We'll see. So, that's news of the day. Will I swap if I like the Radiomaster? Asks Big FPV. Yeah, Big. The Radiomaster, I am... so here, I gotta be very careful with my wording. If the Radiomaster is good quality, then it seems to deliver more performance, more specs, more features than the T16, sorry, at a lower price point. And why wouldn't you switch to it, right? I have no particular brand loyalty. I mean, there are some brands that I think are good brands, and if they had a bad product, I would be like, okay, well, they're still overall a good brand. But Jumper versus Radiomaster, whoever puts out the best product, I'm gonna use. And Radiomaster is certainly looking like it's a better product than Jumper at a lower price point. However, all of that depends. I have a splinter. I'm sorry. I can't. I made a new mailbox post, and I got a splinter, and now I'm just like fidgeting with the splinter. I'm sorry. That's very unprofessional. It's so annoying to have a splinter, isn't it? Radiomaster. If they can deliver good quality at a lower price point, then go for it, right? The only question is, and here's what we got to hesitate. If the first batch comes out and like something is wrong with them, and I'm not saying there will be, I'm just saying I'm always a little hesitant until I would never say, go pre-order it now, because when TBS puts out a product, you can be pretty confident that it's pretty solid. Like, it's not going to have some crazy defect, probably. But Radiomaster? Who's Radiomaster? So we'll have to see. Blindside says, in that old Rotor Riot video, you guys were flaming the Radiomaster for performing better than FreeSky. Now it's like hyped. Hang on, no. That was not this Radiomaster. That was not Radiomaster. That was something else, but that wasn't Radiomaster. You're confusing two things. I'm so close. It's almost out. Yes. Yes. I got it. I think. Let me get this question now. Do you think there's a significant difference, asks Blindsides, between a $13 to $18 Eco motor, Emax Eco is the motor he's talking about, and a $23 motor? I would say that most people are not going to notice a difference in flight between like a $13 to $18 motor and a $25 motor. The difference between like a $10 motor, yeah, no, you're below the line here. You're below the line here, where the quality is just really dropping off. But the Eco motors at $18, they don't have some of the fancier features of the more expensive motors. And I'm not looking at the feature list, but like things like hollow shafts, titanium shaft. The $13 to $18 motors typically won't have those. But most people are going to fly just fine on it. It's really, if you have money to spend, the $23 motors have a lot of nice features. They can be more durable, but here's the thing. You smash a $25 motor into a freaking, cement pylon, it's going to break. It doesn't really matter. So I think for the typical person, the $13 to $18 to $20-ish price point is really the sweet spot for value versus for value. So the $23, $25 motors do bring things to the table. It's not just money wasted, but those things may not have as tangible an advantage in flight. Pedro Tomei says, I pre-ordered the Radiomaster, but after I saw you talk about the pros and cons of a new product, I canceled it and ordered the Tango 2. Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm down on Radiomaster. I just want to temper my enthusiasm I'm so excited about the Radiomaster. The minute I get it, I will be switching over and using it because I want it to be a good product. I believe that it will be a good product. But before I say, this is the next big thing, that would be irresponsible to not acknowledge that, like, the freaking problems with the jumpers and the ribbon cables. Jumper had a long time where they were making pretty solid products with very few problems. And then they had a bad batch go out and the ribbon cables all were effed up and a lot of people were having a lot of trouble with their buttons. And I think with a newer company, I think you have to understand that if you buy into the pre-order, then you're a little bit of a guinea pig. And so maybe you're okay with that. Anyway, let's see here. The splinter is out. Cool. Splinters are the worst, aren't they? Flacky in the Discord says, having 6 wires to the GPS, that would mean it has a compass, right? That is correct. 6 wires would be power, ground, TX, RX, and the I2C wires, whereas 4 wires would just be the compass. That is correct. Juzel suggests that there's multi-protocol firmware for 915 megahertz. And maybe that's what the module is going to be running. That's interesting. Thank you. Stu reminds me that the radio that we tested a long time ago on Rotor Riot, tested is a strong word for what we did, was the Radio Link, not the Radiomaster. Radio Link. That's 2 different companies. Don't get them confused. Let's catch up now on the chat here. Let's see. Burritos Yum Yum wants to know about an outdoor micro. Any suggestions for an outdoor micro quad? Like, I think the smallest that you can really enjoy outdoors is about 2.5 inches. Am I right, ladies? 2.5 to 3 inches, I think, is the sweet spot for outdoors. For me, I prefer an open prop design. But if you prefer a ducted or a prop guard design, that could be fine. Then I think you just got to ask yourself what you're looking for out of the quad. Do you want a cinematic style? Do you want more freestyle? So for an outdoor micro, I would pick in the toothpick style, like the Beta FPV HX115. I really liked. I thought it flew really well. I had the HX115 HD to be completely fair. For DJI, I really liked the Transtech Beetle. The GEP-RC Rocket Light was also good. The Diatone GT349 flies really well. I'm not 100% sure about its durability, but the Diatone GT349 is quite good for... And then you could also look at some of the, like, you could look at like a Shendrone Squirt or one of the other Cinewhoops if you wanted to do more slow cinematic flying. I'm not a fan of the Larva X, JC. The Larva X I reviewed, and the problem is that you've got the stack screws are like this, okay? And then the stack has like C-shaped like this, and they go like that, but it doesn't go all the way around. And as a result, the flight controller is way too easy to come out in a crash. I thought the Larva X flew well, but I didn't like its durability. So... Alexis Freitas wants to know QX7 or TX16S. The QX7 is a known quantity. That's what it's got going for it. It is solid hardware. It's established. It's good radio. And it's about $100, whereas the TX16 is going to be closer to $130. So it's a little cheaper. The TX16, assuming that they manufacture them with decent quality, it delivers so many more features. Big screen, color screen, touch screen, Hall effect gimbals. There's actually a non-Hall effect, that $100 price point actually, the non-Hall effect gimbal version of the Radiomaster is only going to be $100. So it will actually directly compete with the QX7. I mean, I think that there's no question that the Radiomaster is a better value if you assume that the build quality is there. The other thing about the Radiomaster is because it has the jumper module, there are going to be cases where the receiver, it doesn't get quite as good a range as it would on a FreeSky radio, because FreeSky tunes their modules to an exact frequency to match the receivers, whereas on the multi-protocol module, you have to fine-tune the frequency. So you may, in some cases, you won't get the same range on the T16 as you do with, or the Radiomaster, as you do with a legit FreeSky radio. However, I just run Crossfire. So. Cement Kid thinks a 2-inch micro is the sweet spot outdoors. I'm not going to disagree with you there, man. I would have said 3-inch, but I've flown some 2.5-inch that blew my mind. It's not, to me, Cement Kid says with RPM filters, they fly fantastic. To me, Cement Kid, it's not so much about the handling, which I agree 2-inch quads can handle really well. But just about the power and speed and in outdoor environment and the ability to fight the wind. But you could convince me 2-inch was there. Pazblo wants to know why IBUS failed versus SBUS in the drone market. Pazblo, SBUS was created by Futaba, and then FreeSky reverse engineered it. And basically, an IBUS came along a lot later. So I think it was just really well established. There was a time when FreeSky was one of the only like cheap receivers you could get, and they sort of made their name by reverse engineering Futaba. Boshua Jardwell reminds me that Emax Eco do have hollow shafts. I was talking about the difference between cheap motors and expensive motors. And like I said, I don't have the specs right in front of me. But Rude and Smelly FPVs, do you have any experience with Kebab's toothpick? I love mine. I don't. I want to get and fly one of Kebab's toothpicks, but I want a lot of things in life, and there's only so many hours in the day, so... Doghouse FPV says, assuming that video transmitter is close enough to the video receiver and high enough power that the video receiver is getting good signal-to-noise ratio, is there any noticeable difference in video signal reproduction between different video transmitters? Like, for example, they're all supposed to be 8 megahertz bandwidth, but do they actually all hit that? I haven't put a bunch of video transmitters on a spectrum analyzer to check their reproduction of the signal. I wouldn't assume that they're all perfect or that they're all as good as any other. I do think there are differences in, you say, you're getting enough power. I mean, the quality of the signal matters in the ability of the receiver to reproduce the image. So I do think the video transmitter comes into it. But without sticking them on a spectrum analyzer, I couldn't really say which ones were like the best. Killa Bees says, I plugged my quad in the other day. One of the startup beeps was delayed a split second, and after that a motor spooled right up. My radio was about a foot away. So in other words, you didn't hit the arm switch by accident. Killa Bees, let's start by just acknowledging the motors should never spin when you didn't arm. It sounds like what happened is the delayed startup beep means that the ESC was getting kind of corrupted data or having trouble sort of figuring out what the flight controller was saying. And then when it initialized, some corrupted data went through and it spun. It thought it was being told to spin. That really almost never, I want to say never, happens on like release firmware. I remember times when bidirectional D-Shot was just coming out and people were running beta firmware, that there was a version of the beta firmware where this bug would happen. I definitely, he says it's only happened once, never after. I definitely would make sure they're all on the latest firmware. That's a good place to start. I'm going to guess they're on the firmware they shipped with. I'm going to guess you didn't flash, like some nightly firmware. He says he's on the latest firmware. I don't know. That just shouldn't happen, dude. That just should. But I think we should all always be aware of the possibility that it could happen. But it really shouldn't happen. The thing is, D-Shot is a really simple protocol. It doesn't have incredibly robust error checking. So there are some things to help protect against this, but that's weird. I might replace that ESC. Just as an abundance of caution. Joseph S. asks, what's the best way to set up voice announcement for switch changes like armed or something and disarmed? Joseph, you can do it with logical switches and special functions. I can't remember in the mixer whether you can just... I don't think you can just tie the playback of an audio file to a mix. I think you have to do it in special functions. So you could do it with logical switches and special functions. The video that I have that is closest to that is let's see. How to make your trans read out low voltage. That's close. That is, I see. Let me find the video for you here. How to make your Tyrannus play audio on a Switch. Okay, so this is the video you want. How to make your Tyrannus play audio on a Switch. And what you're going to do is, instead of tying that audio to just a random switch, you're going to tie it to the switch that you use to change modes. And that's how you do it. So, let me get a couple super chats out of the way. Big Oily Guy. Bow, Big Oily Guy, thank you for $25. That's a giant donation. I really appreciate it. Not even any question. Copter 612, thank you for $10 donation. Do you really put cheese on top of the pepperoni? I go both ways. Here's the reason I'm going to tell you the truth. The reason I put the cheese on top of the pepperoni in that video. Normally, pepperoni goes on top of the cheese. I am aware of this. The problem is that when cooking in a home oven, the top gets done faster. And the bottom usually needs more time to cook of a pizza. And so the thing that's going to make you pull the pizza out of the oven is that the cheese is starting to burn. Okay? So I wanted the pepperoni on the bottom because I didn't want the pepperoni to get overcooked. But now that I'm thinking about it, like a crispy pepperoni is okay. But burnt cheese is bad. Maybe it would have been smarter to just cover the top of the thing in pepperoni. So that would protect the cheese and let you cook the bottom longer. Interesting. Pepperoni can go underneath cheese. That is a thing. Anyway. Thank you for your super chat, Copter612. Kyle Wickline wants to know if he can put Crossfire in his Tyrannus QX7 Access radio. Yeah, absolutely. Do you still have to do the inverter mod on the QX7 Access? I'm not sure about that. I mean, yeah, you will have to flash OpenTX because FreeSky doesn't ship the radio with support for Crossfire, but I'm sure you can flash it and you can use Crossfire. Lucky7Lock wants to know in the Discord if there's a reason why I don't use Futaba and use the cheap Jumper T16. Lucky7, I love OpenTX. If Futaba released an OpenTX radio, I might have to think hard about whether to switch because there is no question that Futaba hardware is some of the best that you can possibly buy. But the other reason, so I like OpenTX, right? The other reason I don't switch to Futaba is that for the most part, I want to use gear that is accessible to everybody. I mean, I have DJI goggles. Okay, fair enough. But like for something basic like my daily driver, think how much content I get. How many videos do I put out where I'm doing a tutorial about how to set up a quad with OpenTX, with the jumper, right? If I was doing that with a Futaba radio, nobody would be able to follow along because nobody can afford Futaba. So that's why you're not going to see me using a Futaba radio. Futaba is amazing, but especially for like my daily driver radio that I do all my tutorials on, it has to be something that everybody can afford. Blindsides, Betaflight does not allow more than 32 LEDs. What you need to do, Blindsides, is parallel some of those LEDs. They will not be individually addressable, but you could probably find a way that all 40 of those LEDs don't have to be individually addressable. Like if you have two sticks on two arms, maybe those just should have the same colors. So wire the data line in parallel, and then they will not count as separate LEDs. Daryl asks, is it normal to lose signal when the transmitter is next to the quad? Yeah, Daryl, when you get too close, the amplifier on the receiver gets overwhelmed and you lose signal. That's normal. Let's see here. Johnny Rambo wants to know if the FreeSky Horus X12S is a good radio for FPV. Yeah, the Horus X12 is a good radio. It's a big, heavy radio. It's high quality. It's got good build quality. Runs OpenTX. It's got a big screen. Yeah, if you're looking at that and you're thinking you want to buy it, it's not a bad choice. Wow, interesting. Brandon LP is stuck between the Tinyhawk 2 race or the Babyhawk R 4-inch. Let's pull these quads up. Let's pull these quads up on screen so you guys can see them if you don't know them. So, we got the Babyhawk. Oh, then let me subscribe to your newsletter. Let's do that. Where's that flippin'? Okay, these are all the spare parts, but where's the quad? Come on, Emax. Get your website together. Okay, there's the baby. There it is. Okay, so which of these should you buy? I mean, they're completely different. They're completely different. Nope, Nooks pulled the trigger too soon. Haha. Pause the. Hold on. My patrons have a over on my Discord server. My patrons have a game they do where when I go to my website, they see who can post the first screenshot of my website over on the Discord. You're supposed to, I believe the official rule is that you're supposed to post a screen grab of the live stream. Is that not right? I don't know. I don't play the game. Nooks thought I was going to my website. He jumped the gun. There's no penalty for losing, by the way. So the Babyhawk R Pro, they're just completely different quads. I mean, one is like a, what is it, 65 millimeter? You know, and one is a 4-inch. So, like, which of those, and also one's $180, one's $114. I guess the question is, which of those would you rather fly? The race is, you know, going to fly differently and in different environments than the Pro. I got to say, this one flew okay. It flew good. I think that the 1606 motors are marginal on 4S on 4-inch props. They got pretty hot. It flew good, but I mean, I would almost go for a 5-inch Hawk instead of the 4-inch, you know? So. Let's see here. Tinyhawk is not made to do outdoors, says Todia RZ. Yeah. Even the Tinyhawk race is, I mean, the Tinyhawk race, you could probably fly outdoors, but it's more of an indoor quad. Let's see. Kevin Houston says, I would like to know if the antennas you're advising on your website can be shipped to Europe. I mean, I would think they can be shipped to Europe, but they'll be expensive if you don't buy them from within Europe. But sure, I'm sure they'll ship them to Europe. Martin M says, what are the UARTs on the Radiomaster T16 for anyway? Yeah, Martin, one of the things that Radiomaster advertised about the TX16 was that it had 2 free UARTs. What for what? One of them could be used for flashing receivers. Currently, the Jumper T16 doesn't have a plug where you can easily flash receivers like the Tyrannus radios do. I would hope it would be so amazing if they would make it possible to do that. Daryl Smallman, thank you for $7 Canadian. Just saying thanks for answering my question earlier. Thanks, Daryl. Evan Hansen said, my Hexam Plus antenna got cut off. Can I run it without antennas? Yeah, Evan, you can run your receiver without antennas. You'll fail safe like immediately, but you can't do it. So, you know, it's not actually a great idea to run your receivers without antennas. If it's a telemetry receiver, it's actually transmitting as well as receiving, and it'll actually burn out the telemetry radio the same way that your video transmitter will burn out if you run it without antennas. Let's see here. Anybody still flying their Meteor 65? David Martin Graff. I actually still flying mine. The Mobula 6 is, I think many people went to the Mobula 6 instead of the Meteor 65, but I still have mine. Jean-Luc, we looked at the Jumper T18 earlier in the live stream. Long story short, yeah, kind of was expecting more. What's it got? That's so awesome. It's got the 900 megahertz module. That's the number one thing it brings to the table, but if they really wanted it to be a Radiomaster killer, I think they needed a touchscreen. How important is the touchscreen? I don't know. It's a good marketing point, though. Oh, Christopher Robin FPV wants to know if I can make a dummies video on tuning quads. Yeah, absolutely, Christopher. Step 1, fly the defaults. Okay, your quad probably flies pretty good. That's for dummies. If you're a dummy, just fly the defaults. Oh, there's more to it than that, but yeah. Here's the thing. I would say, I'm joking there, but I'm also serious. The Betaflight defaults have gotten so good compared to what they used to be. But on the other hand, actually tuning has gotten so much more complicated than it used to be. So it's tougher and tougher to make like just a for dummies guide, because more and more tuning Betaflight is digging around in black box logs. So that's a tough situation. It's good, but it's bad. Adam Rochelle, thank you for $5. I accidentally ran my 1S battery down past 3 volts. It's a Mobula 6. I'm charging them back up now. Is it bad? Yeah, it's bad, Adam. It's bad. Now, those little 300 milliamp hour whoop packs, if and when they explode, they're not going to do too much damage, hopefully. But whenever you run it down past 3 volts, here's the key to me. Adam, if I run the battery down to like 2.8 volts and I'm like, oh, crap, and I quick disarm, and then the battery goes and it stays at 3 volts, that's not good, but it's not the worst. If the battery stays below 3 volts and doesn't recover, just get rid of it. Don't try and like put it on your charger and like limp it back to 3 volts. The thing is, it's now damaged and it's going to fly like crap anyway. So it's going to perform badly, and now it's a fire risk. So what's the win condition here? I mean, you didn't buy a replacement? Yeah, especially with bigger packs, if you run them below 3 volts, don't do that trick where you use nickel metal hydride mode to limp them back, because they're dangerous at that point. Many people do it. Many people get away with it. The people who don't get away with it, their car or their house lights on fire, and that's really freaking bad. Ryan JH ran a LiPo to 0 volts and revived it. Yeah, but what was the internal resistance when you were done? How much voltage sag did it have? Probably a lot. Benny Fernandez wants to know what I think of the Byte DVR footage that was released. I think I'm looking forward to my Byte coming in the mail so I can try it out for myself. TLFPV says the T18 has a touchscreen. Really? That's interesting, because I did not see that here in this release video by Jumper. Oh, wait, this is a different video. Does this one have... Let's see if this one shows the touchscreen. Okay. Yeah. He's not touching the screen. I checked the release video, and it didn't say anything about a touchscreen, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're right. It would be cool if it did. Let's see. Power buttons. Yeah. It says IPS screen, but it doesn't say touch screen. Kind of seems like it would if it had it. But there you go. Let's see. Grayson Hobby's website said it. Maybe they're releasing 2 versions. The T18 runs Android and has touch. Well, that's good. If it has a touch screen, it's more of a competitor for the Radiomaster. Then it's just going to be a question of price, because the Radiomaster is coming in at around $130. I see. There's the T18 and the T18 Pro. Okay. Good deal. Caleb K says, I just got Emax Eco 1900 kV motors on a 4S quad. Is that a bad idea? Caleb, I've flown 1900 kV motors on 4S. I actually was surprised at how underpowered it didn't feel. It's okay. If you go full throttle, you'll be like, where's the rest of it? But for typical sort of freestyle, it's actually not as bad as you would think. But it has nothing to do with durability. Is it durable enough? I don't know about that. 1900 kV on 4S is a little under. It's going to be lower RPM and lower power, but I don't think it's going to affect durability. G. Strondel, thank you for £5 in the super chat. Tango 2 versus the Crossfire full module. Does more power mean more penetration? Yep, it sure does. Here's the thing, guys. When you're talking about radio signals, the exact same things that make the radio signal go a long way in space also make the radio signal penetrate better through obstacles. So more power will give you more range. But does it give you more penetration? Yes, because the physics are the same. Almost knocked my drink over. The physics of penetration and range are the same. So if you, he says, I heard the T2 on 250 milliwatts won't be able to go far in cities because of interference. That's that needs to be determined. I haven't met anybody who has 250 milliwatt Crossfire Micro and who says, oh man, the range on this thing is terrible. Like, bad range for the Crossfire Micro at 250 milliwatts is like, instead of like 3 miles, you get like only 1 mile, or I'm just made those numbers up. I think most people are going to be satisfied with 250 milliwatts. Rob J77 in the super chat, thank you for $5, says my Hawk 5 doesn't match band and channel on my goggles. Is the VTX smoked? I'm going to guess that your goggles are actually not on the right channel. If there are 2 channels, Rob, that are very close together, especially if you're using auto scan on the goggles, you can end up on the wrong channel but still get a picture. If the VTX says it's on a band or channel, it probably is. So manually set your goggles to that band and channel, and then see if you get image. Eric Allen, thanks for $5 in the super chat. Eric says, thanks for all your help on Facebook. Without your videos, I would never have taken on this hobby. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you, Eric. I only read that because Eric gave a super chat, not because I just feel gratified and like hearing people say nice things about me. Rob J77 wants my thoughts on the HGLRC Batman 220. The Batman 220 isn't the newest. It's been out for a while. I remember when it came out, a lot of people liked it a lot. I've never owned one. If you're looking at the HGLRC Batman and thinking you want to get it, I haven't heard any like deal breakers with it, and a lot of people seem to like it. So, Droning with Jeffrey wants a ready to fly, take apart, put back together vid. Droning with Jeffrey, I wouldn't say it's coming soon. I'll tell you why. This is my editorial calendar. It's actually up on my website at, where is it? There we go. It's actually up on my website at this URL. You can actually see what's coming up on my channel. And if there's a check mark next to it, it means the video is scheduled and ready to go. And if there's no check mark next to it, it means that it's planned but not scheduled. And I'm currently scheduled like 2 weeks out. Most of these videos are actually already shot. Oh, now we got it. Now they got it over in the Discord. It's not technically the Ultimate FPV shopping list, though, is it? I don't know. You guys make the rules. So, this is what's I got. I'm going to actually sneak a few more videos in here because I'm taking up so many slots with the Tyro tutorial, but not everybody's following along. But, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be anytime soon, man. Rusky, thank you for $5. My 4S battery has mismatched cells. How mismatched can they be before it should be trashed? Rusky, I would say if you finish the pack and they are more than, I got to get the decimal point right, 0.01 apart. So if it is 3.7 and 3.8, is it 0.01? Yeah. 0.1? That's 0.1. If they need to be within 0.1, there you go. So if you finish the pack and they're at 3.75, 3.78, 3.76, that's all fine. But if one's at 3.6 and one's at 3.7, then I start to get worried. If they're more than 0.1 volts apart, I'm suspicious. Put it on the balance program of your charger. Always use the balance charger program, and then run a pack and see if it finishes with one cell way lower than the other one. RC Flyer asks, why not balance them out at the charger? Exactly. RC Flyer, Ruski should run a balance program on the charger. And what's going to happen is they're all going to come up to 4.2 volts. Now, if the internal resistance is roughly equal, then when you fly, they'll all come down to about the same voltage. But if you finish a pack and consistently cell number 1 is 0.2 volts below the others, then I would get rid of the pack. I wouldn't consider that. I would consider that to be damaged. Nate, thank you for $5. Thoughts on low pitch wider props like the R38 or the 5131? That is an interesting proposition, Nate. I've tried the HQ51 V1S. I thought that they felt really linear, but also not very sort of peppy. But a lot of people are going to these props these days, and I mean, maybe I ought to just, revisit my impressions of them. I was actually talking to Alex Campbell, Chief FPV, who is a very, very skilled racer, and he was saying that that people used to run like 50-50 props, ultra high pitch props with really high top end. And he was saying that a lot of racers realized they were often not really using the top end that they had and were compromising linearity and control, and were going to props more like these low pitch, wide, higher diameter props. I was like, oh, interesting. So I don't have a strong opinion about those props. My favorite props are still 5-inch props and with higher pitch. But I have to acknowledge that a lot of people are going the other direction. Luca P wants to know if I'm going to be doing more testing with the TBS Fusion since the hardware and firmware updates. Yeah, absolutely, Luca. In case you guys don't know, TBS released a hardware update for the Fusion module. Now, hang on. Some people are mad about this. Then they shouldn't be. Some people said, well, they're going to do a hardware update, and they left the initial buyers out in the cold. The hardware update, all you have to do is take apart your module. There's no soldering. It just pulls apart. There's just a little piece of double-sided tape holding it together. You buy the new module, and you put it on, and now you're up to date. I have to buy the new module? Well, hang on. It's only $10, and they raised the price $10. Or rather, they gave you a $10 early adopter discount. So nobody who bought the Fusion early got screwed in any way. But this new hardware module for the Fusion gives the Fusion the same analog receiver chip that the Rapid Fire has. At least that's what Livu FPV suggested, or in one of his early live streams, which means that they're finally going to be on equal footing, and it's just going to be the firmware that distinguishes them, and I guess the manufacturing. So I think I've got one ordered. It's coming in the mail, and I'm looking forward to testing it. Okay, let's see. I got to catch up these super chats. Justin French, thanks for $2. iFlight Sedora frame 2208 2150 kV. Should I run 5S or 6S? Justin, I would go 6S. And here's why. There's just not a lot of 5S batteries out there. I don't know why. They just never got popular and nobody really makes them. So with 6S, you will have a wide variety of batteries at various price and performance points. You'll have your pick. You can pick the weight you want and really dial it in. 2150 kV on 6S is actually pretty bonkers, but not like my 2700 kV build bonkers. It's flyable, but you get short battery life, but it's not like you just light it on fire and throw it in the garbage. So what I would do in that case is I would run 6S, but I'd run it with like an 80% throttle cut. But I'd have like a switch on my transmitter that turns the throttle cut off. Kind of like the nitro switch in Fast and the Furious. So I kind of have my pick. If you run 5S, there you are. You're at 5S. That's it. You can't go any faster. Joshua Owen, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I'm almost caught up on super chats. I will get back to the other chats, but the super chats just keep coming in. Joshua Owen says, Kakute F7 HDV, does D-Shot 600 AKAK even matter? Sometimes I arm and only 2 motors spin, replug, then no issues. Happens randomly. That flight controller absolutely should be able to do 8K, 8K, and DShot 600. But if I had the problem you're having where sometimes the motors don't spin, I would at least try going down to DShot 300. You shouldn't have to do that, but at the end of the day, you just want to get your freaking quad in the air. I also have a quad with some ESCs on it. I'm not going to say who they are because I don't think that would be fair, because I haven't ever figured out why this problem happens. But 1 out of every 20 times I plug it in, 3 of the ESCs don't initialize and the motors don't spin. And I don't know if it's the ESC or the flight controller or my soldering. All I do is I unplug it and I plug it back in again and I go fly, and I'm just like on with my life. But yeah. So yeah, go down to DShot 300, see if that fixes it. Edward Ashwell wants me to review the DCL simulator. I want to know if it's realistic enough to learn from so I could get into FPV. Edward, almost any simulator, as long as it's FPV focused, DCL, Velocidrone, Liftoff, DRL, FPV Air, there are a few other new ones coming out that are not even coming to mind. Any of these FPV and racing focused simulators are good enough to learn on. None of them are perfect. Some are better than others. But when you're a rank beginner, here's the thing. If you were going to learn to drive a car and I gave you a video game, and the video game had terrible physics, but it did have a brake pedal, an accelerator, and a steering wheel, well, you would kind of start learning to drive the car, right? Like my kid's 8 years old right now. He's starting to drive the mower. I got a riding mower. He's starting to drive the riding mower around. Well, I mean, he's going to be slightly better at driving a car the first time he drives a car, just because he's had some experience behind the wheel. And that's what these simulators are like. They're not perfect. They're not exactly like a real quad, but they are definitely good enough that you will absolutely... I've seen so many people pick up a quad the first time they flew a real quad and just be like half decent at it because they practiced in the simulator. So just pick a simulator you like the looks of and practice in it. Just don't get one of those airplane focused simulators like Real Flight. That's not a good choice for FPV. Get an FPV focused simulator. Nukes, thank you for $20 super chat. Nukes, thank you. Nukes, I think, super chatted earlier too. Thank you for your donations, man. I'm copying rates into Betaflight, but even though I copy the same exact values, my degrees per second don't match the ones I'm copying from. Is there another setting that affects this? Yeah, Nukes, the deadband is the major one that affects this. If you have a higher or lower deadband value, it takes a slice out of the center of the rates, and it slightly changes the endpoints. Bearded Billy, thank you for $5 in the super chat. I know I've been reading a lot of super chats, but I got to clear them out. Sorry, guys. Bearded Billy, thank you for $5. Thoughts on the iFlight Lawson's Battle Axe? I don't know what that is, but I will definitely give you my thoughts on it because that's what I do. It's a frame. Oh, I have seen this. Actually. iFlight generally makes good frames, right? Let's just start there. This style of frame is reminiscent of the LeDrib Skyliner. Drib wasn't the first one to do it. He didn't copy anybody else. I know that he designed this by himself. I was around for a lot of the design process, not like literally. I wasn't literally in the room, but I was his a friend at the time. It's got similar to the Skyliner in that it's got the vertical. Can I make this bigger? There we go. It's got the vertical camera plates and adjustable up tilt. Protects the camera pretty well. You are going to want to think about whether you're going to see the side plates in the camera, depending on the camera design. I do like quads like this that have a flat plate for the GoPro. Makes it easy to mount the GoPro. Although it has integrated up tilt. So if you're going to run at this up tilt, all you got to do is run a battery strap. It makes it really easy. As far as the rest of the frame goes, like one of the weak spots on frames like this is the place where the front end meets the back plates. The top and bottom plate. Drib has Yeah, I can see they've done it too. Drib has a standoff right here in the center to help reinforce. They've got these, it looks like they've got two standoffs here. That's a smart design process. Do you see that this screw is just right here diagonally inside of where this tab slots in? That's really smart. Here, let me zoom it in even more. Let me show you guys. That's really smart because it means that this standoff, this is a standoff, it's going to reinforce this spot and help prevent this from developing stress cracks. That's the theory anyway. I mean, I haven't flown this frame. That's really smart. Got some press nuts here. That's good. I like retaining nuts. They didn't press them all the way in when they took this product shot. That's a little bit of a shame. The ends of the arms are stupid. That's just, I don't know what they were thinking. Why did they do this? That's just stupid. It's good to have some kind of little nub on the end of the arm to help protect the motor, but I don't know what the hell they were thinking about. This is just, it's just looks, it's a battle axe, right? So they're just trying to make it look cool, but that's just dumb. It's going to break off. It's kind of pointless. It might hook on something or snag on, I don't know. That's a little silly. Overall, looks like an okay frame. Got a battery strap slot here. That's kind of nice. It looks like it might be a little heavy. I love that there's battery strap. I'm coming around to liking this frame. Damn. I love that they got battery strap retention here so that your battery straps don't all fall off when you take your battery off. However, if you use the really thick rubberized battery straps, they probably won't go through here. So, there you go. Ciati says, bent that frame is great. He likes this frame too. I hope he's talking about this frame anyway. Yeah, I like the look of it. The more I talked about it, the more impressed I got. And it's $40. So I'm not sure that I would personally run it. I'm not sure it ticks all my boxes, but not bad. Anyway, there you go. Thank you, Bearded Billy. Kevin McCarty, thank you for $10. All I want is a reliable all-in-one flight controller. I've been through 3 beta FPVs. Thank you, sir. Kevin, I got bad news for you. If you're flying tiny whoops, they're all kind of crappy. The least crappy one, Ciati, tell me if I'm right about this. Like, I think we all agree that the Crazy Bee and the Beta FPV flight controllers are pretty hit or miss with quality. But the newbie drone, Acrobee, that's got to be the best one, right? Right? Ciati has a lot more micro experience than me. Let's see, once he catches up with the chat, let's see if he agrees. Mark 10 serve in the Discord. Let's get a couple questions in the Discord. The Mobula 7 HD runs on 2S and 3S, but I've been warned that the board can't take 3S. Yep, that is a fact, Mark 10. If you run 3S, I think you need to add a capacitor, and it'll do it, but it's safer to just run the Mobula 7 on 2S. Ciati agrees. Newbie drone is really good. Yep. The newbie drone is, if you buy the cheap ones like the Crazy Bee and the Beta FPV, sometimes they'll be good for a while. Sometimes they'll smoke and die. If you don't want to take those chances, newbie drone Acrobee flight controller is the best you can get. I hesitate to call it bulletproof, because at that size, the things we're asking the electronics to do are pretty extreme. Ciati says, I've still seen one fail, in fairness, but only one. There you go. Newbie drone Acrobee, Kevin. Doghouse FPV, very good question, dude. After a good crash, do you go through any procedure to check for problems before putting the quad back in the air? So, Doghouse, I confess that after every crash, the first thing I try to do is turtle home. It's almost a challenge. Like, I'm always thinking to myself, what if this was a bando? Where if I don't turtle mode and fly home, I am not getting my quad back. And I kind of practice getting the quad out of tall grass. There's a trick you can do where if you're in tall grass and your props are obstructed, you shift into turtle mode, even though you're right side up. You shift into turtle mode, and you spin the motors, and it cuts down the grass. And then you can maybe get up and get out of it. There's another trick you can do where you arm the quad, and if, like, one motor isn't quite spinning, you kind of rock the quad without taking off, and you kind of go like this, and then you, boom, pop the throttle and get out of it. These are little tricks I've learned as I just insist that I am not walking to get my quad because I'm a lazy bastard. So in that case, I don't do a pre-flight check before I get back in the air because, I mean, if I've got a battery strap in the way or my battery's hanging loose, there's a chance that I'll slap it. But usually that doesn't happen because I got my procedures down so that I usually don't like eject a battery or whatever. But if I break an arm, well, I could be screwed. Once I get a quad back, I mean, I've had broken plates and not noticed until I was flying, and then I was like, that's when I notice. Like, obviously, I like if I have a broken arm, I'll probably notice because it's like, oh, it's broken. But like, I'll check that the battery is secure. I'll check that the battery wire hasn't been chopped. I'll check my antennas, and then I'll put the quad in the air. And if like it sounds wrong, then I'll come back. I'll be like, oh, something isn't right. As long as it's flying good. But I say that, but I have like I always run double battery straps. I always pass the power wire through the battery strap so it can't get chopped. I have all these hard-learned procedures that mean that when I crash, probably the quad is still intact and I could probably get back in the air unless it's just like cracked something. Now, Doghouse FPV says, I like my ESCs. I don't turtle mode. And I say if the ESC is going to pop because I turtle mode, get out. You are fired. New ESC time. You better just deal with it. Deal with it. That's not a bad advice, though, Doghouse. Yeah. John Solo wants to know, do you have any experience using FAA Drone Zone for airspace authorization? My area doesn't have automatic. I see. I was going to say, John Solo, you should use the AirMap app and get automatic approval via the Lance system, but you don't have that. I've heard that it could take like up to like 90 days to get manual approval from the FAA, which is why a lot of people just don't do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying a lot of people are like, oh, great, I'm going to wait 90 days, and then it's all irrelevant. Mr. Shady, I don't get all my ESCs for free. Besides, here's the thing, Mr. Shady. I test the ESCs. I beat the shit out of them and kill them so that when you ask me what ESC should I get, I can have an informed opinion. It's my job. It's my job. I have to break ESCs so that I can... Yeah, that's true. Phantom FPV's in the chat. What's up, Phantom? Thank you for coming out. Justin French, thanks for $2 in the super chat. What's your favorite 6S for my 5-inch beast? Frankly, I think, I mean, the Race Day Quad and the Luminaire Xylo packs are both good budget packs. They're not the highest performance, but they're pretty good performance. And I'm pretty happy with them. Pashram, thank you for $20. Very generous. Thank you for your work. Today was the second day of me flying. Congratulations. I've hit a tree, the arm broke off, and the ESC exploded. Is it kind of a regular thing for the ESC to do? Ouch. Yeah, so if the arm broke off, then really anything is fair game. The motor could have I mean, if you hit a tree hard enough to break the arm, something's going to break, right? So it's not a regular thing for ESCs to explode, but when you hit a tree hard enough to break the frame, anything can happen. Raidcon of 007, thanks for $10. And now we're caught up on Super Chats. The thing is, you want a frame that's not going to break when you hit a tree. And then the ESC will probably do okay. I have to say, I have a pretty good track record of not breaking ESCs, which, given that I was just saying I turtle mode abusively, might surprise you. So I have smoked some. I actually can't think of a time I've smoked an ESC by using turtle mode, except for the Flight 1, the Diatone Micro, which apparently no one told me you're not supposed to turtle mode on. Go figure. But all of my tiny whoop micros, they're so small that they turtle mode easily. And all of my 5 inches, I've had dead ESCs, but the ESC died like just flying through the air or something, not when I was turtle moding. Anyway. Phantom has smoked a motor or 2 turtle moding, I bet. He goes he goes hard. When I met him, I said we were talking about, what you could do to fly better. I said, "What are your rates?" He said 1,300 degrees per second. I may be misremembering some details of the story. I said, "Wow, you should try turning your rates down. You may find you have a lot of precision." So he did. He did. The next time I met him, I was like, "Yeah, so how are your rates?" Still 1,300 degrees per second. I'm not sure what his actual rates are this exact minute. He knows what he likes. That's my point. Bob Dager said, "Can anyone drive without accidents their first flight?" I mean, can anybody fly without crashing their 57 millionth flight? I still crash. I have known people, Bob, who were shockingly good the first time they flew. Because I'm talking about, like a 13-year-old kid who's been practicing in the simulator for a month. Because his dad hadn't bought him his quad yet. And they're already doing Matty flips and juicy, they're already doing freestyle tricks in the simulator. So then you give them a real quad and they're just like, "Yeah, no, I got this." I am Jacob Schultz wants to know in the Discord, can I use 3S on my Fat Shark Attitude V5? From what I can find online, the goggles can take 3S. It also says the fan takes 2S, but does that mean the fan needs a 2S connector, or is it only rated for 2S? Having difficulty finding a straight answer. The fan can only take 2S, but the goggle can take 3S. So the fan has the little battery plug that plugs in. That you should not plug in if you're plugging into a 3S. But the goggle itself you can plug in a 3S. You'll burn the fan out if you plug the fan in on a 3S battery. So just don't plug the fan in. Let's see here. One NZD wants to know if I speak much with XJet in New Zealand, and if I ever considered going to New Zealand or Australia to meet some of the people there. I have thought about it. There are so many great pilots in Australia and New Zealand, and I have thought about, wouldn't it be nice to go meet some of them and fly some of those great locations? But it's like a really long flight. I'm not sure I would ever do it. I really actually hate traveling. So this pandemic thing has been great for me. Wait, stop. I have to qualify that. What I mean is I don't like going places anyway, but I go places because I don't want to be a weirdo who doesn't ever leave his house. And sometimes once I get there, I have fun. But most of the time, if you're you want to go, I've had people, they say, "Hey, we have an event going on. It's in such and such a city. We'll fly you there. We'll put you in a hotel. You'll get to go to this event." And I'm like, what's the upside? You mean I have to leave the house? I have to pack. I have to sit on a plane for hours. I have to sleep in a hotel instead of in my own bed. I have to spend all day interfacing with strangers and keeping a good face on. It just sounds really stressful. Now the freaking pandemic comes along and everybody's like, "Listen, it's incredibly important that you not leave the house." I'm like, "I got this. I have been practicing my whole life for this." Anyway, so yeah, I have had the thought that I might like to go to Australia, but I probably won't. I have been to Sydney. I went to Singapore once and Sydney on the same business trip. Sydney was crazy. It was great. I got to walk up and down. You can do this tour where you know the Sydney Tower Bridge and the Opera House and the Sydney Harbour. You can actually walk all around the Tower Bridge, like on the up the. There's a thing they clip you on with a harness around your body, and then they like lock you in so you can't possibly fall, and then you can literally walk all around the maintenance, like up the bridge to the very top of the bridge. I got to do that years ago. Okay, what are we talking about? Yeah. Some people talking about GPS rescue. GPS rescue on Betaflight. GPS rescue on Betaflight is pretty... It's not reliable. Here's the thing. If you already were going to lose your quad, you may as well activate GPS rescue. If you don't care if your quad crashes in the grass and you just want to try it out, try GPS rescue. But if you truly need something that can save you reliably, GPS rescue isn't it. Because Betaflight has got these safety checks. They call them sanity checks. And some of the sanity checks include how many satellites have we got locked? How close are we to the home position? This is one that gets people a lot. If you're closer than 100 meters to the home position and you activate GPS rescue, the sanity checks fail. Another sanity check is, does the accelerometer report a sudden shock, such as if we just crashed? There are all these sanity checks, and the thing is, if any of the sanity checks fail, what happens? Does the quad revert back to angle mode? No. It just disarms and falls out of the sky. So here you're flying around the quad. You're like, you know what? I think I'm just going to activate GPS rescue. It's no big deal, but I'm just going to let it fly itself home. Boop, disarms, falls out of the sky. Sanity check failed. And here's the thing. There's no warning in the screen that a sanity check is currently failing. When you just roll the dice every time you activate GPS rescue in Betaflight, that maybe a sanity check isn't failing, and then sometimes it falls. So, like Inav has the same safety checks, but they work a lot harder to communicate to you whether it's safe to activate GPS or not right now. Betaflight, just like, yeah. So, Betaflight GPS rescue, I'm glad it's there. I hope they keep working on it. But I wouldn't rely on it as return to home. It's just not that. And they say as much. Squishy wants to know if we could do another dual stream with Drew sometime soon. Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. Drew was on one of my streams and he just stuck around. That was just kind of a random thing that happened. I don't usually have guests on the stream. The times when I have had guests on the stream, people show up and they're like, "What happened to the Q&A? I had a question I wanted to ask," and then some of them get mad. So, I keep losing satellites. Says Fly and Fitter. I keep losing satellites from 9 at arm to 4 mid-flight. It's driving me nuts. Yeah, that's got to be something to do with your GPS antenna placement, perhaps. Don't know. Joshua Kurmani, one of my motors are barely spinning and stuttering when I arm for about 4 seconds. Then it stops and the ESC beeps. I'm not sure whether that would be your ESC or your motor. It could be a bad motor. The ESC could be fine. So what you got to do, Joshua, is you got to swap the motor with a known good motor and see if the motor spins. Then you'll know for sure. How does the bat check feature on the T16's menu work? What feature is that? Bat check? I have no idea. What is bat check? Let's look. I mean, I'm going to look. You guys can't see. Best live stream ever. Where is bat check? Is it in the Lewis scripts? Is that what you're talking about? No. Well, where's bat? You got to tell me where bat check is. I have no idea what that is. So clearly, I'm not going to show. I'm not going to. I'm not going to tell you how it works. 507RC. That's an interesting idea. Rotorite should do a live show with all the pilots via video chat and just BS for an hour. That's actually interesting. Like a UFDA shit show kind of a thing. Yeah. We could never be as cool as UFDA though. Joshua Kermani says the motor is mint. It's a brand new. Okay, here's the thing, guys. Y'all got to stop doing this. Okay, I don't. Joshua Kermani. I'm not talking to you specifically. Don't take this personally. Here's the thing that happens to me, and y'all got to stop doing it. Hey, Joshua. When I arm my quad, the smoke comes out of the motor. The wires all curl up into a pentagram, and then the quad doesn't fly. Oh, it could have a bad motor. That's brand new. Okay. So what do you think it is? Well, you could have a bad motor. It's brand new. Brand new things sometimes are also damaged. So if I get it. it's brand. The flip side of that is, yeah, my quad falls out of the sky sometimes. I have no idea why. Okay, we troubleshoot it for 2 weeks. Is this relevant? About 3 weeks ago, I crashed it into a lake. It was underwater for 24 hours. Oh, you just now mentioned that. Yeah, no, I think that's relevant. So the thing is, just because it's brand new doesn't necessarily mean it's... Here's the thing. Now I sound like a jerk because I'm chastising people. If you might have a bad motor, the fact that it's brand new doesn't change that. Swap the motor. Is this motor behaving perfectly? No. It's brand new. Well, okay. Still, it's got a problem. Swap it. If the next motor also stutters, probably the ESC. If it doesn't, anyway, there you go. Yeah, no burnt wires. So, Joshua, there's no visible sign of damage is what you're getting at. But it could still be damaged somehow. So, swap it with a different motor that spins smoothly. And then if it also twitches, the ESC is the problem. But if you swap the motor and if that motor spins smoothly, then the motor is the problem. Ratbait757 says his FreeSky radio beeps the whole time I'm flying it. Whoa. Doghouse FPV wonders if it's the variometer. Who knows what a variometer is? Not anybody in the quadcopter community. Glider pilots know what a variometer is. It is a sound that tells you whether you are ascending or descending, and glider pilots use it to manage their, I was going to say manage their altitude, but really manage their energy. And you can actually, if you have telemetry, you can actually use your radio as a variometer, and that's a little bit of a long shot, but who knows? I got you, Joshua. Joshua says no smoke, no burnt motors, wires, no nothing. Again, Joshua, please don't. I wasn't actually your comment triggered my rant, but I didn't mean my rant was specifically directed at you. So please don't in any way feel defensive, and I won't feel like a jerk for ranting at you. All right. Bat check is in the top banner widget thing. Bat check is in the top banner widget thing. I mean, I have my battery up in the widget. Let's look. I'm dying to know. So, in the widget thing, so I'm in the top banner, top bar, set up widgets. No. Where's the page? Okay. Top bar, setup. Is it a thing I can have in here? Outputs, model bitmap, aileron, text, timer, value. Nah, none of that. Oh, now I've messed up. No. All right, that's all the live stream time we're going to take on that. It's saying it in the bar. The bottom of the hardware section. No, I said that all the time we were going to take on that, and I meant it. Okay. Ryan, are you trying to... I think I got it. Ryan, are you trying to get the battery voltage of the T16 itself? That is just BAT. That's the sensor that you use for that. Sean Douglas, thanks for $2 in the super chat. Writing Durance, thank you for $10. Very generous. Anything over $10, I think, is really, really generous. Writing Durance says, this is the CL1 Rotorite DIT stack. The pinout looks confusing between the ESC and the FC. Can you explain this? I'll do my best. For $10, I'll try twice as hard as I normally would. Well, writing, I would start by use the specialized cable if you have one, but I'm going to guess you don't. So here's what I see. VBAT and ground line up. That's the most important thing. Then the signal wires are out of order, so you're going to need to rewire the signal wires. S1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and 4 to 4. And by the way, who in the dickens decided this was a good way to order the motor wires? Why? Why did you do it this way? This makes no damn sense, but okay. So you're going to need to reorder the wires. And then current and RX7 are going to cross over. Current to current and RX7 to TXD. That's how you're going to do it. Did that help? I hope it did. All right. Big Willie FPV. I hope that Crossfire micros come back in stock soon. The only ones I found are on eBay. $250, $300, or $5,000. Yeah, so people with Crossfire micro modules are apparently selling them on eBay because Crossfire has been out of stock for so long that people are desperate. However, be careful. If you really do buy an eBay listing, it's possible it's just a scam. People do that, is they find hot ticket items and then they put them up on eBay with a fake listing. And depending on how they scam you, you may not be protected. But I hear that Crossfire is coming back into stock in the next couple of weeks. So it was pretty close. Any new info about the Eachine EV300D? Thank you, Kilivine. Maybe we can throw that one out to the chat. The Eachine EV300D, the big question about them is the latency is too high. So Eachine has released some updated firmware, but the firmware either fixed the latency but introduced visual bugs or didn't fix the latency. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there is any more info about the EV300D firmware. I guess what we should do is we should search the group. January 26th. Can I sort by date? February 18th. Let's see here. Let's just open a couple of these up. April 6th. Ah, good. This is a really recent one. First update, big latency. Second update, a bug on the screen. Third update. No, they haven't fixed it. I didn't think so. It does not seem that they have fixed it. And I don't see any announcements of new firmware. Here's February 21st. A new firmware is on the way, this time including a fix for NTSC. That was in February. But where's the firmware? January. Let's try searching for firmware. EV800. No. See, it's not. Yeah. So we're going to go with no on this one. Yeah. Oh, you guys can't see the screen. I didn't switch back to my screen. Yeah. ESG and EV300D? No. The firmware has not been fixed. And I think it's a question of whether it's going to be fixed. So. Because it's been this long. And they haven't released a new fix for it. Okay. All right. What else we got? Mr. Shady. Should a battery resistance be checked when empty or full? Mr. Shady, that's a very good question. Internal resistance of a battery changes as the state of charge changes. And so the standard way of checking the internal resistance is when it's fully charged. Yeah. So it needs to be fully charged. You also need to control the temperature as well. So, because the temperature affects the internal resistance too, and if the temperature is not consistent, then you're gonna get inconsistent results. Now here is somebody's showing me the bat check function in the widgets. But what does it do? Do we know what it does? Like, what is it? Anyway. Dobo2 wants to know, how long can I leave a charged LiPo for? Oh, hang on. I had the wrong screen up. This is the bat check function. But I don't think we know. Displays battery parameters. That's not very helpful. It's not really being very helpful here. Raydicon007, thank you for $5. Can you explain bat check? I don't think that I can. Let's just try. Let's just try a Google search, but no, there's no. Yeah. Writing Durant's, thank you for $5. The provided cable was straight across, so I was hesitant. I agree, Writing. The good news is you probably wouldn't have fried anything because VBAT and ground are in the right place, but you also wouldn't have had a working quadcopter. Drew Harrison, thanks for $5. Do you have any different recommendations for ground-based FPV systems on an RC vehicle, like 1.3 gigahertz or higher milliwatts? Drew, you're right that on 1.3 gigahertz, on a ground-based vehicle, you will need more penetration because it's close to the ground. A lot of people I know who use ground-based RC vehicles still use 5.8 gigahertz, though. You'll get okay range because a lot of times well, maybe that's not true. I was going to say a lot of times you're not behind obstacles, but that might not be true if you had FPV. Salmon Fry, thanks for $5. Why doesn't the Maytech F722PX flight controller support FreeSky OSD? The suggested serial command only temporarily fixes the display. I'm afraid that that one is, that's the Pixhawk flight controller. I'm afraid, Salmon Fry, I don't have any experience with Pixhawk or ArduPilot, so I can't answer that question. I appreciate your confidence in me, but I don't know the answer. Sean Douglas, thanks for $2. All right, great. Wilder FPV, thanks for $2. Will I review the Jumper T18 in the near future? Maybe. I don't know when they're going to ship it, though. Sully says, I'm setting up my switches on DJI. Do you have a how-to? Yeah, I do, actually. So if you check my GEP-RC rocket lights setup video, even though you don't have the GEP-RC rocket, the process of setting it up is the same. John Nikponsky says, bat check doesn't seem to work with telemetry. It always shows 0. Like, what is it, though? So, setting up aux modes on DJI, check out my GEP-RC rocket light setup start to finish video. It will show you how to do it, and it's the same even if you're not using the GEP-RC rocket. Squishy says that's not the Pixhawk FCC. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Maytech F722PX. Hang on a second. Salmon Fry, we're going to go back to your question. That's not there. It's Holybro who has a Pixhawk flight controller. So the F722PX, is that one of the new ones with the updated graphical OSD? But Betaflight doesn't fully support it until Betaflight 4.2. That may be the issue. What is this got? It's got an Inav target. No, it doesn't look like it has the new. It's got wiring. Which the new? Ah, I see. Betaflight Configurator doesn't have font manager for FreeSky OSD. Yeah, it has the new FreeSky graphical OSD, and the Betaflight target is not available. So you have to use the FreeSky OSD app. I see. You have to use the FreeSky OSD app to configure the OSD. So what's the problem? So Salmon Fry, I think the takeaway from your question is that Betaflight 4.2 should support this new OSD. I think what's going on here is there are new flight controllers coming out with graphical OSD built in, but Betaflight doesn't have support for them yet. Maybe 4.2 doesn't have it yet, because I don't remember in the release notes seeing that. So you have to use the third-party FreeSky app to do it, but I don't see a suggested serial command. Inav firmware has FreeSky OSD enabled on UART 6. I see. So what they want you to do, I see. I'm catching up now. What they want you to do is put this command in to put FreeSky OSD on UART 6. But what you could also do it in the ports tab, I suppose. Hang on. Oh, I'm almost there. Salmon, you said that suggested serial command only temporarily fixes the display. That serial command, all it does is it sets up the ports tab. Are you typing save at the end? That's it. Salmon Fry, I think I just earned your $5 super chat when I thought I was going to be useless. I think you're putting in the serial command, Salmon Fry, but you are not typing the word save. You type the serial command, you hit enter, then you type save, you hit enter. And without typing the word save, it only lasts until it power cycles. It doesn't fix it permanently. That is my money on what your problem is. Okay, took us a long time to get there. Thank you very much, Squishy. Thank you, Squishy, for pointing that out. Squishy also points out that Betaflight 4.2 release candidate 1 is out right now. So if you were to flash the release candidate, it might support the OSD, and you might not have to go through this nonsense. Thank you, Squishy, for helping straighten that out. I still can't tell Radicon what bat check is, though. Max VFPV, thanks for $10 in the super chat. I'm running power tests, and 2 motors are getting really hot. And I noticed the frame is getting really hot. Nothing has shorted out. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. If you have a hot frame, it means current is flowing through your frame. Guarantee you that the motor screws are touching the motor windings. Okay, that's I'm not as confident about, but what's happening is the ESC is driving current into the motor screws are too long and they're touching the windings, and current is flowing back to ground through the frame, and that's why the frame is getting super hot. What you need to do, Max V, is those 2 motors that are getting hot, back the screws out like 2 full turns, but not so much that the motor comes off, and try and spin the motor and see if it fixes it. I bet it will. Okay. Radicon got his JB2208 motors today. Thank you. I do like those motors a lot. I'm starting to pull the parts together for my next perfect freestyle build. That's all. It's Blunty wants us to give a PSA about sun damage on goggles. Yeah. So, It's Blunty posted a picture of, I think it was you. Was it you, It's Blunty, or was it, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was you're asking for someone else to get help. But someone on my Discord today posted a picture of bad pixels in their DJI goggles. Long story short, it's not bad pixels, it's sun damage. If you have goggles, don't let the sun shine into the goggles, even a little bit, because the lenses will focus the sunlight on the screen and burn the screen. And it's just no good. Kyle K says, show the picture. I'll see if I can find the picture. Isn't it? Where was it? I can't remember if it... Let's search for the word burn. Yeah. Oh, here we go. This is the conversation. There it is. So this is the picture. And right here. That right there. And this little, I think this little white spot here, although I'm not sure. That is not bad pixels. That is sun damage. That is never going away until you replace the screen. So protect your goggles from the sun is the takeaway. All right, there's your TSA or your PSA. Alep FPV wants to set up KISS style idle up in beta flight. There are two things you need to do, Alep. One is in the CLI, there's an option, PIDs at min throttle. I wonder if we can see if that's still there in beta flight 4.2. I don't know if they've changed it. Let's just double check that. Here we go. Are we not gonna, oh, this is the, hello? Could we have a COM port? There we go. So then we'll go to the CLI and we'll type get PIDs. No, PIDs at min throttle is gone. What did they change it to? That's too much. PID at min throttle. There we go. So the parameter is PID at min throttle, and you want to set that to off. You say set PID at min throttle equals off. Hang on, you guys couldn't even see any of that, could you? Hang on. That's a little better, I guess. PID at min throttle. There it is, right there. And right there. You're going to set that off, and that will emulate the part of KISS where when you arm, if you have idle up, it doesn't activate the PIDs until you actually throttle up. So then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to, in your transmitter, set up an idle up switch so that when you flip the switch, the throttle raises slightly. Okay? And I have a video about idle up as well. I'll post that link in the chat, in the Discord. So those two things together will give you something like KISS style idle up or air mode, where when you arm, at first the PIDs are not active. And I guess what you would really need to do is when the idle up switch is in the off position, prevent the throttle from raising so that even if you raise the throttle, nothing happens. And then when you flip the switch to the on position, it raises the throttle above the min threshold so that then you can fly. So that's how I would do it. Yeah, Alep, make sure that you set your idle up in the OpenTX to lock the throttle in the down position as well as idle it up, because you don't want to be in a situation when you arm where the throttle's down but you like bump the stick. Yeah, that would cause the PIDs to become active. Coz FPV, what was with the guy saying your settings were backwards in the dynamic idle video? I don't know about that. What is that? Or what settings were backwards? I very carefully ran this stuff by the guys over on the Facebook group before I released a video. So I hope I didn't get anything wrong. Dynamic idle. Let's look at the comments. backwards. Let's search for the word backwards. Did I get something backwards? Oh, it must be this thread. Well, that's a long frickin' thread. No, I don't know. Look at the top comment, says Coz FPV. Well, I mean, I was. Show, how about this? Show comments, sort by newest. Such a nice and humble guy. Well, not take what that's the top comment from 2 days ago. I'm not sure which comment you're talking about there, Coz. Yeah. Once you let's see. Yeah. He was the top comment. Well, I don't know, man. I don't see any real new comments either, so. Alrighty, anyway. The Admiral FPV, thank you for $10 in the super chat. What's an affordable charging setup and power supply for charging 10 6S batteries? Oof. I mean, I guess you would probably want parallel charging, right? Yeah, so you would want parallel charging, and then you would want like the highest output charger you can get. You would want to be able to, like, they're 10 6S batteries, so they're probably even between 1,000 and 1,200 milliamps if they're typical milliamp hours, if they're typical freestyle packs. So you would want like a 10 to 15 amp charger, and then you'd want like, how many watts is that going to be? Let's say 4 volts times 10 amps. 4 volts times 6. Whoops. 4 times 6 times 10 amps is 240 watts. That's not that much, actually. Yeah, so you just want like a 300-ish watt charger with 10 amps output. So, I mean, I would say, how's the Q8, the ISDT Q8? The ISDT Q8 can do, what's it at? 20 amps, 500 watts? There you go. Bingo. That's the one. And a parallel charge board. Michael O wants to know, would I recommend the Emax Tinyhawk Freestyle for someone who's transitioning from 75 millimeter whoops to freestyle? The Tinyhawk Freestyle is maybe not as different from a 75 millimeter as you would want if you're trying to transition from 75 millimeter to like 5-inch. I think you might want to take a bigger step than the Tinyhawk Freestyle. Not that the Freestyle isn't good, it's great, but if you're trying to get from 65 millimeter to 5-inch, I think like I would be moving more towards like a 3-inch than like the Freestyle, or maybe a 2.5-inch. The Atomolet does not come with a power supply, so you're going to want to get what I would suggest is like Race Day Quads or Get FPV have these cheap 400 watt power supplies for about 40 or 50 bucks. And like 1 out of every 30 is DOA, and they just send you another one, but the rest of them are okay. So that's the direction I would go. You will need a power supply for it. Boshua Jardwell in the Discord, my favorite. Where's Boshua Jardwell? The rest, I never see Boshua on the live stream or on the Discord server except during the live stream. Where's he the rest of the time? Is there a way to turn the ESC beacon off from the transmitter? It is not. There is not. The only way, there's not. You have to plug it in, and you have to go into BLHeli Suite. Do you remember way back in the day, if you powered up the ESC with the throttle raised, you would go into programming mode? I mean, maybe it's possible to turn the ESC beacon off that way, but you would have to power cycle it while it was in the tree, so clearly that's not going to work. So no. It's just going to sit up there beeping until the battery dies. Will this work for a charger? Yeah, I mean that looks like a typical 4-button charger, pretty much. It looks like a pretty typical 4-button charger. Yeah, but it'll probably work. What's the output though? That's the question. What's it rated for? 100 watts? See, if it only does 100 watts, it won't do 10 typical 6S batteries all at once. But that's okay. It just means it'll take a little longer to charge them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just charging a little slower. Sheldon Isadora, greetings from St. Lucia. Well, greetings to you, my friend. Any recommendation for a 1S charger? The Newbie Drone Nitro Nectar is a decent one. Matt Taylor's first Q&A. Welcome, Matt. The Animal also wanted to know if I had any thoughts about the Umagod 2306 1777 kV hex motors. Let's take a look at those. Hex motors, huh? Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm sure they're good. Tommy makes good stuff. I mean, Tommy doesn't fool around. 2306 1777 kV. Yeah. 6S power with maintained efficiency. It seems like an okay motor. It's a good looking motor. It's the thing, guys. There is not that much difference between a lot of motors. Now, what's going on here? What's going on? Why is that thing stuck down in there? What is this? What is this feature? Hang on, you gotta explain that to me. There we go. An innovative special feature. See, I was about to say there's not that much difference. There's a special feature. They have a 3mm hexagonal socket at the top of the shaft. Sounds dirty. To go back to Facebook. This was done to help with removing stubborn props by letting you hold the shaft with a 3mm hex key. Oh, that's clever. That is really clever. So when you've got a stuck prop and you need to get it off, then you can stick a hex key into the, and it'll hold the motor bell. So you don't have to struggle to hold the motor bell by hand. That's pretty clever. Help you get the prop nut off, too. Yeah. No, Radicon. Your JB motors are special. They are special. The JB motors are very special. The stream isn't broken. We were just looking at a... Yeah. Oh, Koz FPV. Mark Beasley. By the way, Mark Beasley is... he and I are friends. We talk all the time. So if we had a disagreement, I'm sure it was a personable one. He seemed to think my idle setting was too low. And he's edited his comment now. I see. I mean, the idle setting being too low or too high, I mean, that's, to some degree, that's a matter of preference. So. Adrian Shikumbov has been trying to get this question through. What's the best way to write custom software to interface with a commercial configurator like Betaflight? Adrian, Betaflight can be interfaced with through the MSP protocol, which is there's a standard written out there for it, and it's used to, that's what the configurator uses to interface with the flight controller. But when you say interface with the configurator, maybe you want to like make some macros for the configurator. If that's what you're talking about, the program I would suggest is AutoHotkey. AutoHotkey is it's a keyboard macro, but it's like basically a programming language. So anything you want to do with the configurator itself, you could probably write AutoHotkey macros to do it. Brady Lots says his wife is a huge fan because you made pizza from scratch. Aw. I did. Is DJI going to be banned, says We Fly FPV? I doubt it. Free Lojo says the JB 2208 2400 kV are stunning motors. I like them, and I hate to say this, I think they're better. I like them better than the 2407s. When we made the 2407 JB motor, I wanted to make a motor very similar to the EFAW 2407, but EFAWs weren't available anymore, and I couldn't figure out how to get them. So I said, well, let's try to make my own. I made a good motor. I say I made. That's shorthand for I flew a bunch of prototypes and told the factory what I liked, and then they kept making me prototypes until we found one that worked for me. So I didn't make the motor. That's just shorthand. But I'll say we made. We made, I think, a good motor, but it wasn't exactly the motor I wanted to make. It was something else. The 2208 is closer to what I was going for with the 2407. But so many people love the 2407 too that I'm certainly glad we made it. Let's see here. Let's get a couple of more of these super chats out of the way before the live stream is going to end soon. Like 8 minutes. Ciati FPV is in the chat. He's going to be streaming though. So if you guys can't get enough of FPV live streams, Ciati FPV is going to be going on his channel. He's going to start posting that link any minute now. And at 10 o'clock when I go off the air, you guys can come on and watch him on his channel. James D33, thank you for $10 in the super chat. Police in my area have a fleet of M210s and a few M600s. They have landed them on my and other people's houses, operating in restricted airspace. What would JB do? I'm a felon and I can't go to the authorities. Yikes. I think you can probably assume that the police have permission to do whatever they are doing. And if they didn't have permission to do whatever they are doing, you know what I mean? Like, I know that in the United States, there are special exemptions given to certain regulations about drones for public safety. Like they don't need, I don't know, I don't want to give details because I'll give the details wrong and then I'll look dumb. Instead, I'll just look ignorant and not dumb. See the difference? But like they're operating in restricted airspace. Well, you don't know that they don't have permission to do that. You're assuming they don't have permission to do that. For all we know, they call it in every time they do it. Like you just don't know that they don't have permission. Or now, as far as landing them, like you're missing a preposition here. They have landed them, my and other people's houses. If they were literally landing on top of my roof, I mean, I'd be writing a letter somewhere. Maybe. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be happy about them. Like, let's put it this way. If they pulled up in a police car and they parked on my lawn, what would I do? Probably nothing. I'd probably just hide in my house and not bother them. So, anyway. But as far as the restricted, thank you for your donation. But as far as the restricted airspace goes, I would, you want my honest answer? I would assume they had permission. Or that if I made a stink about it, no one would care, and I would probably just blow it off. Really, FPV, thanks for $5. My bud Carlos and I decided to make pizza from scratch. Took us all summer. We started with building a clay oven. That sounds like an awesome project. Even if you're joking, that sounds awesome. Yeah, plant, grain, grow tomatoes. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Robert B37, thanks for $5. Need advice on a flight controller ESC that can run Inav and DJI on 6S, please. I think I would steer you towards the Holybro HDV. And the reason for that is that Holybro flight controllers all have Inav targets, I believe. You need to double check it. And the Holybro HDV doesn't have a custom target, so I think it should run Inav, but you should double check that. Alrighty. Mason Storm wants to know if I can review the Rush tank line of VTXs. Well, I got to tell you, I don't do a lot of product reviews like that lately because it's like, okay, here's a VTX. What has it got? Is it good? I do, and there are just only so many slots in the day for me to make videos. But if you take a look at my website, patrons, this is it. This is your chance. Jump in the Discord. If you take a look at my website, here in the video transmitters Are you for real? That's a bug. That shouldn't be like that. Shit. How did you break that? How did you break that? Okay, that works. All right, here. Here in the video transmitters, you'll see that the Rush tank is my top tier performance, mid tier price choice. And that's kind of a review. And the Rush Tiny Tank is my choice for Nano VTX. Although probably the Immersion RC Tramp Micro needs to get on there too. But both of those are very good. All the Tramp VTXs are pretty good. But these are the two I've chosen to focus on my website. All right, guys, it's 9:57. It's 3 minutes to the end of the stream. Ciotti FPV is going to be streaming tonight. At least I assume he is. I haven't seen him posting his link. Let's go. Oh, there it is. Ciotti FPV is going to be streaming tonight at 10 o'clock as soon as I go off the air. 4 giveaways, Q&A, and finishing the GEP-RC Skip 3 HD. Y'all, well, let me ask you. You guys watch Ciotti stream? A lot of you do. Do you think Ciotti should go full time? Just saying. I think he's a pretty good streamer. He's got a lot to offer. Ciotti. Just saying. Anyway. All right, guys. Full time. Yeah, here they come. Going full time. Dr. Pollution, thank you for $10 super chat. I'm on Betaflight 3.2 trying to upgrade to 4.1 and the Impulse RC driver fixer tool can't find it. Dr. Pollution, the main thing that would cause the Impulse RC driver fixer not to work would be if you had an SP Racing flight controller that doesn't use the STM32 driver. In that case, the driver fixer isn't needed because that problem is specific to that driver. The only other thing that would cause the Impulse RC driver fixer not to find it is if the flight controller isn't in bootloader mode. So definitely use the button. Hold up with a button. So, Really FPV, pictures Instagram to you. I appreciate that, Really FPV. I appreciate your donation, but I think it's a little... I'm going to look. What are these pictures that you sent me on Instagram? Instagram is such a mess for me. I have so many freaking messages, and I can't keep them straight. Like, there's so many messages. Which one is yours? I have no idea. Here we go. I got some pictures. Daniel Lopez, is that you? Yeah, that's you. Oh my God. It's not a question. It's the clay oven. They literally built a clay oven so they could bake pizza. That is epic, dude. That is epic. What a note to go out on. Hey, I'm going to make a pizza. Cool. When will it be ready? 3 months from now? Oh, I'm going to get a snack. Okay. Yeah, that's really awesome, dude. That's really awesome. All right, guys. That's going to do it for the stream. I appreciate you guys so much for coming out. And I'll see you next Sunday at 1 p.m. My normal stream. This week on the channel, more Tyro 119 Inav tutorials. We're doing my big giveaway. The monthly new product roundup and giveaway will be this week. Check my editorial calendar if you want to know when. And some more of my 3 packs a day experiment. As well as, I got to find a place to fit this in. Betaflight 4.2 release candidate is out. So Betaflight 4.2, yeah, time to do an overview video. All of that hopefully coming this week. I say hopefully. It's coming this week because a lot of it's already done and already scheduled. What a concept. I'm ahead. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Happy flying, everybody. Ciotti, post your link one more time, dude. Here's Ciotti's link if you want to go watch him stream for a couple hours. Ciotti should go full time. That's all I'm saying. Good night, everybody.